Let me tell you something that a lot of people won't say out loud. Breakups hurt like hell. I don't care how strong you are. I don't care how successful you are. When someone you cared about walks out of your life, it hits you like a punch you didn't see coming. One day you're dreaming together. The next, you're standing there trying to pick up the pieces of a heart you didn't think could break like this. But here's the truth. You're not broken. You're not done. This moment, it ain't the end. It's the beginning of something greater. See, the first thing you got to do after a breakup is stop chasing closure. That person might never give you the answer you're looking for. They might not tell you why they changed, why they pulled away, or why they didn't fight for you. And you know what? That's okay, because sometimes silence is the answer. You don't need their permission to move forward. You don't need a full explanation to heal. What you need is to choose yourself again. Second, feel what you feel. Don't fake strength. You want to cry, cry. You want to scream into a pillow, do it. Healing ain't always cute. It's messy. It's raw. But the only way out is through. Don't pretend you're fine for the sake of appearances. The strongest people are the ones who let themselves feel so they can let it go. Next, reclaim your identity. Because sometimes we get so wrapped up in loving someone else, we forget who we are. What did you love before they came into your life? What made your soul light up? Start doing that again. Go back to the gym, pick up that guitar, travel, write, laugh, dance. You're not just someone's ex, you're a whole masterpiece still in progress. And listen, you've got to stop blaming yourself. Relationships take two people. If it didn't work out, that's not all on you. Maybe you weren't perfect. Maybe they weren't either. But blaming yourself for everything, that's like stabbing your own heart over and over, hoping it'll teach you a lesson. Nah, love was the lesson, and now growth is the next chapter. Another thing, don't confuse loneliness with love. Just because you miss them doesn't mean you belong with them. Your brain misses routine. Your heart misses connection, but that don't mean they were your forever. Learn the difference between missing the person and missing the version of yourself you were when you felt love. You can be that version again, on your own. And finally, trust that better is coming. I know right now, it feels like you lost everything. But sometimes life has to strip away what you thought was perfect to make space for what's truly meant for you. The kind of love that won't make you guess, won't make you beg, won't leave you wondering where you stand. You're not too damaged. You're not too much. You're not too late. You're just in a season of growth. And if you give yourself the same love you once gave to someone else, you'll come out of this stronger, wiser, and more unstoppable than ever before. Heartbreak is real, but so is healing. So dry your tears, straighten your back, lift your head. You still got a life to live, and trust me, it gets so much better from here. Stop chasing closure. That's one of the hardest things to accept after a breakup, but it's also one of the most powerful truths you can embrace. When a relationship ends, especially one where you gave your all, it's natural to want answers. You start replaying every moment in your head, asking yourself what went wrong, what you could have done differently, or why they suddenly changed. Maybe they ghosted you. Maybe they gave you some half-baked excuse that didn't feel right. Maybe they just walked away quietly while you were still holding on. Whatever the case, your heart is left dangling in confusion, begging for a conclusion that may never come. That's the dangerous loop. Thinking closure is something they owe you, but it's not. Closure doesn't come from another person. It comes from within. You see, when you spend your time and energy trying to get someone else to explain why they left, you're really handing over your power. You're waiting on their words to heal your wound. You're asking someone who already hurt you to now be the one to fix you. That's backwards. People leave for all kinds of reasons that have nothing to do with your worth. They leave because they're scared, because they're selfish, because they're not ready, or because they've got their own brokenness they haven't dealt with. But when you take it all personally and go searching for their why, you make their choice your burden. You end up carrying guilt that doesn't belong to you. The truth is, some people will never give you the answers you seek, not because the answers don't exist, but because they don't have the emotional maturity or the courage to face them. They might not know how to express it, or they simply don't care enough to help you heal. As painful as that sounds, it's real, and holding out for some moment of honesty or accountability from someone who walked away is just another way of staying stuck. Every time you reread their last message or sit by your phone, hoping for a call, you're reopening the wound. That's not closure, that's self-harm disguised as hope. What you really need to do is shift your focus. Instead of asking why did they leave, ask why am I still giving them space in my heart. Instead of waiting for them to make you feel better, ask yourself what you need to let go. Closure isn't about understanding them, it's about choosing yourself. It's about looking at the situation and saying, I may never know why they left, but I know I deserve someone who stays. That's your peace. That's your healing. You don't need a final conversation, an apology, or a long letter explaining everything they did wrong. If they wanted to give you that, they would have. If they truly respected your heart, they wouldn't have left you in confusion. And let's be honest, sometimes the real reason we want closure is because we still want them back. We think if we can just hear the right thing, we'll find a way back in. We think if they can just explain, maybe we'll feel close again. But deep down, we know that door is closed for a reason. And trying to reopen it only delays our healing. Closure doesn't mean going backward. It means finding the strength to move forward, even without all the answers. That's not easy, but it's freeing. When you stop chasing closure, you start building your own peace. You stop depending on someone else's explanation to validate your pain. You stop looking back at the past, hoping to rearrange it, and you start looking ahead at the future you're about to create. You stop being a victim of someone else's choices, and you start becoming the author of your own healing. And that right there is how you grow. People might walk out of your life, but don't let them walk away with your peace. Don't let them stay in your head, rent-free, whispering doubts and what-ifs. You're worth more than that. You're allowed to move on without a perfect ending. You're allowed to close the chapter, even if it ended mid-sentence. And you're allowed to create a whole new story that doesn't include someone who couldn't see your value. So don't wait on that text. Don't refresh their page. Don't beg for answers that probably won't make a difference. Give yourself the closure they couldn't. Look in the mirror and remind yourself that you're still whole, still worthy, still lovable, even without their approval or explanation. You don't need them to finish the story. You just need to start writing a new one. And this time, it starts with you choosing peace over pain, strength over confusion, and freedom over false hope. Feel your emotions fully. That's the kind of advice people like to skip over because it's uncomfortable. But if you try to heal by pretending you're not hurt, you're just adding layers to your pain. After a breakup, the world expects you to move on quickly. Social media tells you to glow up, get even, act like nothing ever happened. But deep inside, your heart is screaming. You're aching, and you can't breathe the same way. That's not weakness. That's being human. And the worst thing you can do in that moment is fake strength. You see, when you suppress your emotions, you delay your healing. You're not getting over them. You're burying the pain under distractions. You go out more, post more, talk louder, and smile wider. But at night, when the world gets quiet, those emotions come back louder than ever. That's because your heart is not a machine you can shut off. It's a living part of you, and when it breaks, you've got to treat it gently. If you had a broken leg, you wouldn't run on it and pretend it's fine. So why do we think we can sprint through heartbreak like it didn't cut us deep? Crying doesn't mean you're weak. In fact, it's the opposite. It means you were brave enough to love, and now you're brave enough to face the loss. Let those tears fall. Let yourself scream, write, talk, pray, whatever helps you release what you're carrying. Holding it in will only cause it to turn into bitterness or numbness, and numbness might feel like relief for a while, but it steals your ability to feel joy too. You can't choose to block out sadness and still expect to feel happiness. Emotions don't come with individual switches. You either feel or you don't. And choosing to feel, even when it hurts, is how you eventually find peace. You don't have to explain your pain to anyone either. Sometimes people will try to rush your process. Aren't you over it yet? You should just move on. They weren't good for you anyway. And while those statements might come from a place of care, they often shut down the real pain you're dealing with. Don't let anyone else put a timer on your healing. You are allowed to grieve at your own pace. Some days you'll feel okay. Other days, it'll hit you like it just happened. That's normal. Healing isn't a straight line. It's a messy, winding road with ups, downs, and detours. And don't feel ashamed if you still miss them. Missing someone you loved doesn't make you weak. It just means your love was real. It means you invested your heart into something meaningful, even if it didn't last. The goal isn't to erase them from your memory. The goal is to remove the pain from the memory. And to do that, you've got to face the pain head on. Sit with it. Ask yourself what it's teaching you. Ask what you learned, not just about love, but about yourself. This is also the perfect time to surround yourself with safe people. Not people who tell you to forget it, but people who hold space for you. Friends who will listen without judgment. People who let you talk about it without rushing you. Healing happens in those safe spaces. So speak your truth. Talk about what hurt, what confused you, what scared you. Name the feelings so they don't have power over you. When you name what you're feeling, you bring it out of the darkness and into the light. And that's when it starts to loosen its grip on you. It's okay to take breaks too. You don't have to be productive while you're healing. This isn't the time to prove anything. Rest, sleep, watch movies, eat ice cream, walk in nature, journal your thoughts, do things that nourish your soul, even if they seem small. Don't rush yourself to feel normal again. A breakup changes you. It alters your reality. So give yourself the grace to rebuild slowly, one day at a time. And while you're feeling all of this, remember this important truth. Your feelings are valid, but they are not final. What you feel today won't be what you feel forever. The pain you're in now is not permanent. The sadness, the confusion, the longing, all of it will eventually soften, but only if you allow it space. Only if you let it flow through you, instead of building walls around it. Feelings are like waves. If you fight them, they drown you. If you ride them, they carry you forward. So let yourself feel. Feel the anger. Feel the grief. Feel the heartbreak. But also feel the strength that's quietly growing inside you. Every tear you shed, every journal entry you write, every deep breath you take, it's all part of your healing. And one day, you'll wake up and realize the weight on your chest is lighter. The silence doesn't echo as loudly. The memories don't sting as much. That's when you'll know you've made it through the storm. And it all started with one brave decision, to stop pretending and to start feeling. Reclaim your identity. After a breakup, that might feel like an impossible task, because for so long, your world included someone else. You started thinking in we, instead of me. Decisions were made together. Memories were built together. Your routine, your future, even your day-to-day joy, was tied to another person. And then suddenly, it's just you, alone. And in that loneliness, you start to feel like you've lost yourself. But what's really happened is that you've been given a chance to rediscover who you truly are, without being filtered through someone else's presence. It's easy to forget your own value when your identity becomes wrapped in another person. You start molding yourself to fit the relationship. You sacrifice certain parts of who you are to keep the peace, to meet their needs, to feel like you're enough. That might mean you stopped doing things you loved. Maybe you gave up time with friends. Maybe you put aside dreams, hobbies, or personal goals because the relationship required more and more of your emotional space. And maybe you didn't even realize it while it was happening. But now that it's over, there's an empty space where us used to be. And it's your job to fill that space with you again. This is your moment to reconnect with yourself on a deeper level. Ask yourself, what did you love before them? What used to make you feel alive before that relationship entered your life? Was it painting, writing, traveling, working out, helping people, being silly? Start doing those things again, not because you need to be productive or prove something, but because that's how you breathe life back into your spirit. You don't have to become someone brand new. You just have to return to the version of yourself that existed before you started shrinking to fit someone else's story. And don't be afraid to try new things, either. Breakups can open doors you didn't even know were closed. Maybe now you have the freedom to take risks, to move somewhere new, to start that business, to enroll in that class, or to say yes to something you always said no to, because it didn't align with the relationship. The truth is, sometimes we lose ourselves in love, And a breakup, though painful, can be the beginning of you finally finding yourself again. Part of reclaiming your identity also means reshaping the way you speak to yourself. After a breakup, the self-talk can get real ugly. You start telling yourself you weren't enough, that you're hard to love, that maybe something's wrong with you. That inner voice gets cruel when you're heartbroken. But here's the truth. You're not broken. You're not a failure. You're not unworthy. You were loving, and real, and honest. You gave something meaningful, and it didn't work out, not because you lacked value, but because not every person you love is meant to stay in your life. So you've got to start speaking to yourself like someone who matters. That means being kind to your reflection. That means not apologizing for your emotions. That means hyping yourself up when you get out of bed, when you make it through a hard day, or when you do something small, just for you. Rebuilding your identity starts with daily reminders that you are still whole, even if someone else didn't see your worth. And while you're rediscovering yourself, it's important to separate your worth from your relationship status. Society has tricked so many people into thinking they're only valuable if they're loved by someone else. That's a lie. You are not defined by who does or doesn't love you. Your identity is not tied to whether you're single, dating, engaged, or married. You were somebody before that relationship. You're still somebody now, and you'll continue to be somebody long after the pain fades. You might feel empty now, but that emptiness is also space. Space to grow, space to create, space to breathe. Don't rush to fill it with another relationship or with distractions. Sit in it. Get to know yourself in it. You'll find that you're stronger, wiser, more resilient than you ever gave yourself credit for. That person you were before the relationship, they're still there, and the version you're becoming now, even better. So go ahead, take yourself out on solo dates. Say yes to opportunities you might have turned down before. Reconnect with old friends. Set new boundaries. Redefine your standards. Learn to love your own company so deeply that the next time love shows up, it has to meet you where you are, not pull you away from yourself again. This season is not about revenge. It's not about proving anything to your ex. It's not even about proving anything to the world. It's about becoming who you're meant to be. Not for anyone else, but for you. Because you matter. Because you deserve to know your own voice. Because your life is still full of purpose. Even if someone walked away, you were never just a half of a whole. You've always been enough all by yourself. Trust that better is coming. That may sound like a nice thing people say to comfort you when your heart is shattered, but it's not just comfort, it's truth. When you're in the thick of heartbreak, when the nights are long, and your chest feels heavy from all the tears you've cried, the idea that something good could come out of this feels almost laughable. But pain, as much as it hurts, is not where your story ends. Sometimes life has to take something away to make room for something far better. The hard part is believing that while you're still in the middle of the storm, in those quiet moments, when you're all alone with your thoughts, it's easy to feel like the best thing that ever happened to you is gone. You start believing the relationship you lost was the only version of love you'll ever experience. But that's a lie. Your hurt is telling you. The truth is, you haven't even seen the best yet. What ended may have felt perfect at the time, but real love, healthy, peaceful, and lasting love, won't leave you confused, abandoned, or questioning your worth. It won't walk away when things get tough. So if someone left, they weren't your forever. They were just a chapter, not your whole book. Right now, it may feel like nothing makes sense. The future feels blurry. Your hope is low, but that's not a sign to give up. It's a signal to dig deeper, to start trusting that life isn't finished surprising you, that this pain you're going through isn't wasted. It's refining you, building something in you that you'll need for what's coming next. Every tear, every moment of loneliness, every time you choose to get out of bed and face another day, it's all preparing you. You're learning how to love yourself, how to stand tall, even when your knees are weak, how to become someone who doesn't settle just to avoid being alone. This is how growth happens in the dark, in the silent places where no one sees your struggle, but you still choose to keep moving forward. And when you least expect it, that growth blooms into something beautiful, a stronger heart, clearer standards, a deeper understanding of what real love should look like. So you've got to believe that better isn't just possible, it's promised to the ones who don't give up on themselves. There's a difference between being alone and being lonely. Alone is a physical state. Lonely is emotional. But loneliness doesn't last forever. The space someone left behind won't always feel so empty. Eventually it becomes sacred, a place for you to breathe, to rebuild, to rediscover what joy looks like when it isn't tied to someone else's presence. And as you begin to fill that space with love for yourself, with things that feed your spirit, you start to realize you're not waiting for someone to complete you. You're preparing to share your completeness with someone who deserves it. The world will try to rush you. It'll throw reminders of romance in your face, tempt you to move on fast, make you believe you're running out of time. Don't fall for it. Take all the time you need. This isn't about jumping into something new. This is about getting so grounded in your own worth that you're not shaken when someone doesn't choose you. Because when you know what you bring to the table, rejection stops feeling like a reflection of your value. It just means the table wasn't meant to be shared with that person. Healing teaches you patience. It teaches you to stop chasing things that don't serve your peace. And eventually you realize that the person who's meant for you won't run away when life gets hard. They won't play games with your heart. They'll show up fully, not halfway. They'll speak your name with love, not leave you wondering where you stand. And you'll recognize them not because they fix your broken pieces, but because you already did the work to heal yourself, and they honor that strength in you. You won't have to beg for their time, question their feelings, or lower your standards just to keep them. The right person will feel like calm, not chaos, and they'll see you clearly, not just for your smile, but for the storms you've survived. That kind of love exists, but to receive it, you have to believe you're worthy of it. You have to trust that the pain you're feeling now is only temporary, and that it's shaping you for something far better than what you lost. So even on the days when you feel like giving up, hold on. Even when it hurts, keep the faith. The best parts of your life haven't happened yet. Your story isn't over just because someone walked out. It's just getting started. And if you can trust that, even while your heart is still healing, you're already halfway to something beautiful. Better is coming. It always does when you don't settle, when you grow, and when you believe you deserve it.